everybody, it's your friendly neighborhood well-rounded mermaid, and it is the first video of 2019 for me. Happy New Year, everybody! I hope you all had a wonderful, fabulous holiday and a great New Year's celebration. If you celebrate, if you don't, happy winter, no matter what you do or don't celebrate. But today, let's get right to it, the purpose of the video. I am here to do a bit of a combined review for you for the premium tailskin by MagicTail. Now, this is a German company. They were one of the very first mass market tail makers, as in not a single person sewing out of their house. They're one of the first tail retailers as far as I know. They and FinFun kind of paved the way for mermaid tails that you could buy in a retail sort of way. So eventually, they got together with another mermaid magic creator, Mahina. She is a retailer and a fin maker from Australia, and she makes the Mahina monofin, or what's called the Mahina Merfin. And MagicTail has partnered with Mahina to make great big fluked tails, unlike anything that they had ever had before. So I am here to do a dry land review of one of their amazing premium tails. Now, what makes the premium different from the original version of tails that they used to make is they were more of a general lycra spandex swimsuit-like version, which is still available, by the way. That's at a lower price point. This, of course, is premium, so it's going to be a little higher price point. And we'll get into the details of that in a minute. But essentially, this is a next level version of fabric mermaid tail. And if you're not familiar with the different types of mermaid tails out there, there are basically three kinds, more or less. There's fabric, there's silicone, and then there's hybrid, which is a composite of a neoprene base built underneath a silicone top. So silicone built on top of a neoprene skin. And so this is MagicTail's first premium, extra thick, extra nice and fancy fabric tail. Kind of a competitor for the Finfold fabric tails, etc. They've got various designs of both their original tails and these babies online. And we talked together for quite some time, and they sent me out this fabulous tail. Now, the reason why it is a dry review is because I think we had some small bit of a language barrier, and I sent them my measurements. They requested me to send out all of the things, and I sent them out twice just to make double sure, as per their request. We had a lovely time talking, and they ended up sending me the XL Caribbean Pearl tail. And I was so over the moon excited about this because the Caribbean Pearl, like their premium tails, uses the Mahina monofin. And this is going to be a bugger to get out of the bag here. The Mahina is nice and big and great for propulsion and helps support these larger tails. So I was absolutely ecstatic to pull this baby out of the bag and put it on. But it turns out they ended up sending me, because they thought it would work per my measurements. Excuse me, I'm getting over a bit of a cold. I'm sorry if you hear me sniffling or you hear it in my voice or maybe moments like that. I just got sick over New Year's, so getting better, but occasionally I might snorkel. Anyway, so they sent me this beautiful, absolutely gorgeous mermaid tail. But as far as measurements go, so when I pulled it out of the bag and I started to stretch at it, I was like, oh dear, this is not gonna fit. So if I stood up, as you can see, I am a size 22 on top, 26, 28 on bottom, to give you an idea. So this little baby is not gonna work. It's about half my size, unfortunately. I looked online, and it appears that the XL for them fits 14 to 22, I believe. That's what they say anyway. I've talked to some of my more slender mermaid friends, And yeah, this might fit a 12, maybe a 14, but I don't think it would fit much further than that. I imagine they took into account that perhaps the hips might work. I'm not sure how. Like, I guess I could really, really sit and stretch it and maybe make it across my lower hips. Yeah, it goes to about my mid-thigh if I stretch the widest points of the hips out. But unfortunately, yeah, the XL just is not going to fit. They may have stretched it and thought it was going to work, but unfortunately I can't swim in it. I can't show it off to you that way because I can't put it on. So once this review is over, I will be folding it nicely back up and sending it back to them so that they can, you know, not lose money off of sending me this beautiful, beautiful tail. But I can still review it for you guys, at least in this capacity. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of what this is, what it was designed for. So, it's got a little picture on the front. I don't know if you can see that on the bag. This is what the tail looks like. If you go to the magictail.de website, you will find this beautiful tail. It's called the Caribbean Pearl, again. And it's this gorgeous, almost like monarch butterfly tail design here that I fell in love with in photos. At the time, it was not available on their website, but I saw it in other pictures for other tails. And I was like, oh my god, I gotta get that tail! So they saw how excited I was about that particular tail, and that's the one that they decided to send me. And I think it's gorgeous. Now, in this little bag also came a little pamphlet and a brochure. I'm not going to pull it out because, again, I'm going to send it back to them so that they don't lose out on sending anything to me. It came with some of their cards, which is awesome. It's kind of like an adoption packet. You've adopted a tail. Seal that baby back up. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of the tail itself. This is a high quality Lycra spandex-like material. They have a description on their website. Let me bring that up for you. This is a Caribbean Pearl, a Caribbean. How do you say it? Let me know in the comments. Do you say Caribbean or Caribbean? So normally this tail runs 189.90 euros, which at the moment equates, I'm going Australian here for a minute there, equates to $216.92 US. Again, this is the XL size, which should fit sizes US 18 to 22, UK 18 to 26, or Euro 44 to 56. This is what they say about the tail. A design rising from a Caribbean lagoon surrounds you with South Sea flair. It's made from Econol, which is registered. It's got the little R, like our little @ or copyright symbol. Made from Econol fabric, which is recycled, ooh, my eyelids twitching, which is recycled fishing nets. How cool is that? Fabric advantages are it's more chlorine resistant, more opaque, no pilling, better resistant against sun creams and oils, washable up to 40 degrees Celsius. And I will put in the down box below what that equates to in Fahrenheit should you have a need. Suitable for Mahina fins of all sizes, which I'm guessing not the children's sizes, but the small, medium, and large of the adults. So this fabric is made from recycled fishing nets, which is pretty freaking awesome. As you can see, it's very opaque, which is utterly fabulous. I can't tell you what it looks like in the water, but it's with its thickness, I am hopeful. It's got a nice, thick, elasticized waistband. It's about 1 inch wide, which is good for us curvy mermaids. And the print is absolutely beautiful. This, to me, looks like a real fish as far as the patternation goes. It's got a delicate suggestion of a scale pattern here that fades in and out. The pattern consists of various blues and greens and browns and blacks, all modeled around like a gorgeous fish. There are no side fins as we go up the tail, but When you get to the lower leg part, the part of the calves and towards your ankles, there are fabulous little ankle fins. How cool are these? Which leads into, check these out, which leads into one of the most magnificent fabric tails I've ever seen in person. This is so beautiful, y'all. It's hard to get this whole thing in the frame. Look at this tail! And you might be wondering why I'm freaking out over the wider fluked tails. The wider the fluke, the better it balances the hips and the rest of the body. So the hip to fluke ratio, I like to say, is better. When you have a small fin like a monofin, you tend to look sometimes like a goldfish, wider body with this little bitty tail flipping back at the end. But this better balances out curvier bodies, which is why for men and curvier merfolk of all genders, they might enjoy having a larger fluke. Now, speaking of the flukes, it's got this, what feels like a quilted or padded material inside. Great stitching. It looks like a zigzag stitch on the trim there, on the seams. And it tapers out to these beautifully rounded little ends. And the whole tail is very intricately and artfully cut out. It does not have a clear panel like the finfolk and other tails do. There's no clear vinyl or anything inside. The Mahina, which we'll show you in just a minute, goes inside the tail via this big opening right here, and that makes it a little bit like the fin fun tails. You just pop the monofin inside through the tail opening at the end and you are ready to go. And the Mahina only goes to this little part right here. So the rest of these ends from here up is all free flowing, flappy. And these are also free flowing and flappy. My hand is exactly where the Mahina would end. So when you're in the water, you get this gigantic, big, beautiful fluke. And from side to side, this is much wider than my hip measurements, which I absolutely love. Again, it creates a more graceful proportion to the body and minimizes the hips, which, if you're concerned about that, is a great thing. All the extra fins are this beautiful, quilted, thicker material, and I'm guessing there might be like some neoprene in there because it's kind of squishy and spongy where the outsides of the fins are. All these details are made of that thicker, spongy material, including the little heel fins. And on the back here, let's show you the back. On the back is, check it out you guys, a full 3D dorsal. Other tail makers I've seen like Delphina and others have a suggestion of a tail fin in the back, a dorsal fin, and it's just printed in on the fabric. But this is full-on 3D, off the back of your body, dorsal fin realness. So this is your body. Just drape it over my head here and check out the flappy fluke. It's not printed, it's a real thing. How amazing is that? And again, this is that thick, well-made, zigzag stitched extra material, which I freaking love, and I have a feeling it will stand up nicely in the water. I cannot wait to get my actual size. They said that they're going to be sending me a fully customized size so that I can swim in it in the water and finish the rest of this review at some point after Christmas, so I'm really excited. This is going to look amazing on all kinds of folks. And I really like that they've got the dorsal in the back, and the heel fins are really the only side fins they've got. because again, that minimizes the hips. I like to joke, I don't need anything to make my hips look bigger, so side fins would just add to the add to that. I wouldn't mind them necessarily, but I kind of dig that they really try to balance out your proportions with all of the fun fantasticness that's happening here. And let's get the Mahina into it. But before we get the Mahina in, I want to tell you a little bit about that creation here. So guys, this is the Mahina Merfin. Now you've probably seen a lot of reviews on YouTube about this before, or maybe elsewhere on the internet. This is my Mahina, my personal Mahina that I've had for quite some time. You can tell it gets a little crammed into spaces, so it gets a little floopy-doopy on the tips here, but you can always just bend it right back into shape. It's got some wear from being in the ocean and on the beach and all that stuff. These fins are absolutely incredible for propulsion. They are made for swimming in the ocean, and they are made of recycled rubber. So that's super, 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 super cool. We've got recycled fishing nets in the fabric, and we've got recycled rubber in the monofin. Your foot pockets are right here. You slip your little feetsies up in here, and there's no adjustments. You just slip it in as far or as back as you need to. And these babies stretch. This is all one giant piece, hello, of molded plastic, not plastic, of molded rubber. They've got these thick spots here, which are really, really nice on either side of the heel to help prevent tearing. And underneath, on the back, this is where your foot pockets are. This is where your tootsies go. And the large, which is the one I have, I chose the large because I have wide feet, and I'm always afraid that if I go down in sizes, it will also narrow things. So the large will fit a US size 10 to 12 and a half, I believe. And this is an incredible monofin. When I first tried one on, I was just elated. I put one on in a pool and I shot through the water, and it was absolutely incredible. I knew a level of speed that I have not experienced before in the water because I had only really had a Finis Rapid, which is also really, really fast, but it's not flexible like this, nor half as large. What's great about this monofin is that just like the tail I just showed you, the hip to fin ratio is pretty freaking good. So this balances out us curvy mers and really propels you well through the water. It's also got these fabulous, I don't know if they're decorations or to help for hydrodynamics, I'm not sure, probably both. But these are absolutely lovely and look great underneath a fabric tail. This is something that I drew on here myself because at one point I had two Water Woman Black Mahina monofins, and this is a slightly looser, more comfortable one. And so I wanted to mark which one I was going to use more often. That brings us to the one drawback that I have personally found. Other people have found that their feet rub inside as far as like the bones of the toes, or sometimes their ankles rub from having their legs together. Personally, I don't have that problem, but I'm going to try to show the camera here. If you look inside, it's just one, your feet fit in here, and there's a separation between the pockets, but it's very narrow. This is only about 2¼ I believe, inches deep. It's got these great ridges for propulsion that span the entire width of the monofin, which is why it has such a great push in the water. But that's as far as these really go. These will stretch a bit, the foot pockets, vertically when you stick your foot in. But if you have high arches, unfortunately, this can be a relatively painful monofin. And I've noticed a lot of my fellow plus-size mermaids and merfolk having trouble with wearing this monofin. I've talked about that problem with some of the other merfolk in the community around Facebook and Mer Network and elsewhere, and they have suggested that I wear water socks or dive socks, scuba socks, whatever you want to call them. And I've tried that. I fortunately already had a pair. I gave it a go. But Unfortunately, that makes my problem worse because the added thickness of the sock makes it even harder to get my feet in here. Like I said, the first time I tried this on, I tried it on in a pool, so my feet just went straight in, no problem. When I tried it on when I first got my very first Mahina, which was a beautiful blue one, I sent it back because it was so painful. I had to return it. I did not realize that that is the case for pretty much all Mahina monofins. So if you have high insteps, not high arches, high insteps, and the instep is the top of your foot. So if this is, you know, you're on the floor here and you're sticking your feet in here, the instep is the top bony part of your foot, the opposite of the arch. The arch is underneath, the instep is on the top of your foot. And that is what is going to be right here when you put your feet in the monofin. So this literally crushes the tops of my feet down. I have to use water-soluble lubricant that I get from Walmart for only about like $1.99 for a big fat tube of it. Whenever I use this, I have to use lubricant, otherwise I don't get my feet in. Without a fight, I should say. I shouldn't say it all, but without a pretty painful fight and not as far. But with a bit of water-soluble lubricant, my feet shoot right in, and I can use the monofin for quite some time without any trouble. But when I take it off, it is quite painful. And you can actually see in my foot, I've shown my friends and family who've swum with me, that if this is the top of my foot, it literally is like a huge indentation. And sometimes, especially when I first started wearing the Mahina monofin, it would hurt for weeks. The tops of my feet would be sensitive and painful to the touch for weeks, and simply just hurt in general for several days after, without touch, just on their own. So that was pretty rough. And we're back. I hope this is recording well. I've noticed in my review, once my camera shut off on its own and I finished the video without realizing that all of the sound and video are out of sync. So I'm hoping that this will be okay. Anyway, so I was telling you about the Mahina and how it can be a very painful monofin for those of us with high insteps. And things like water socks just make the problem worse. You know, more material, more breadth to squish in on the foot. That doesn't really help for us.
One thing I want to note here though is that even with wide feet, who I feared, you know, these foot pockets wouldn't work for me, the width of these foot pockets actually works beautifully for me. I don't have any width problems using the Mahina whatsoever. Plus, I've also noticed that most folks do not have the high instep issue. So if you're a person without high insteps, you don't have to worry. The Mahina should work just fine for you. Everybody's feet and legs are different, so just give it a try. If it's something you're curious about, maybe you can borrow a friend's and check it out, because they are truly amazing when it comes to swimming. And I really absolutely love mine, even with the pain that it causes.
And during the time that my camera turned off and I thought I was done, I filmed the rest of the video. And so now we have the Mahina inside the big, beautiful MagicTail skin. This, you guys, is what this tail looks like with the Mahina inside. And of course, the video that just got recorded, or not got recorded because my camera turned off, I put the Mahina in, but this is what the Mahina looks like when it's inside the tail. And because it wasn't recording when I showed you how to put the Mahina in, it will be recording when I show you how to take the Mahina out of the MagicTail. So this is what the Mahina looks like with all of the side fins and stuff. It supports these beautiful dangly bits, which will look amazing in the water. All of these little side fins will stick out and look amazing. This is where the ankle fins associate once you've got your Mahina in there. So the Mahina stops at right about here, and the ankle fins start not far above that. Actually, right at that. The crest of the Mahina, where the heels are, is right where these ankle fins start. I'm sure that's to help cover up the heel bump when you swim, that silhouette of your body in the water. It's to stop the heels being shown against onlookers. Oh look, it's a merperson with heel bones sticking out. It's never cute, so I like that they've covered that up. And of course you've got the rest of your beautiful dorsal back here. This is just a really gorgeous tail. It's a nice, I'd say, between step between the regular fabric style tail that Swimtails and Fin Fun and MagicTail all make, and the Fin Folk neoprene thick next level fabric tail. This is kind of a combination of the two, and it's kind of reflected in the price. The Fin Folk I think is like $300. The Fin Fun for us curvy people is around $160, and this is around $220. So it's really nice middle point there. Now let me show you what it looks like to pull the Mahina out of the MagicTail. And you know, if you're putting it in, just do it in reverse. Imagine it in reverse. So it's got this open pocket right here. It's open like a Fin Fun. And what's cool is it doesn't look like it'll show too badly. You're swimming, you've got all this extra stuff around, and it's not going to be like, oh look, I see your feet. But the Mahina is right here in the tail. I need an extra pair of hands. Why am I not a cetacean? A Sicilian, like my friends Octara and Ula. So this is where the Mahina is on the inside of the tail. And these fins are these thick fabric fins, these thicker fabric fins. The quilted material goes right up to the edge so that it's better supported against the Mahina so that they don't just flop. I'm not holding these fins up, and you can tell that they kind of stand up on their own because the seam goes right against where the Mahina is right here. So that's the Mahina. And of course these little fabulous little edges add look to the fin but also help protect the look of your feet inside. And you literally just pop the fin tips out, slide the tail down, and bam, you're free. And I wish that the camera had filmed, because putting this thing in fact, I'll do it for you now, is just as easy as taking it off. Except, you know, doing it for a camera where you really do need a third hand. So, rest it on my head here. Here's the opening of the skin. Let it just slip right down into the tail. Pop the fin tips in of the Mahina. And y'all, like, 1, 2, 3, that's it. It's as easy as that. It's like a Fin Fun, but it's way bigger and way cooler and has better propulsion and these fabulous outer fin flappy bits on the flukes. So, it's kind of amazing. It really is like a perfect middle point between a Fin Folk and a Fin Fun. So, yay. Thank you, MagicTail. After seeing this, because sometimes for us bigger folks, especially out on the beach or at festivals where we might have to transform quickly or in public, this is going to be so much easier to put on and get off and to transform out of, both for taking care of it as well as just transforming on the go. I absolutely love this thing. I cannot wait to get my own custom size tail and be able to swim and show you guys that. Wonderful footage. Ooh, and I actually put it the right way. Woohoo! So, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that you like what you saw. And if you liked what you found here, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. And if you hit the little dingy or the buoy, the bell, hit the bell. If you click that little bell, dingy, buoy, whatever you want to call it, you will be notified every time this mermaid surfaces with a new video. So click that button, and if you enjoyed what you found here, please share with your friends, your family, anyone that you think might need a little mermaid magic in their life or want to know about the Mahina monofin, the MagicTail skin, any of it. And MagicTail, thank you guys so much for sending this out to me. I'm so honored. I'll be sending this back to you now that I'm done with this part of the review, and look forward to seeing the custom tail so that I can swim in it and review that aspect for you and all of my plus size and otherwise viewers. Thanks again, you guys. Thanks again, you guys. Happy, blessed, wonderful New Year. Thanks for watching. Happy shimmies and waves of love.